Welcome to Purple Easel Spotlight, where we put the spotlight on artists and creatives. My name is Latoya.
And I'm Megan.
And we're both art instructors here at California's largest paint sip studio, Purple Easel. So, Megan.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Utopian Scholastic aesthetic? No. Okay.
What is it? What?
So there I was scrolling on the TikTok, and I see this TikTok, and maybe I'll stitch it a little bit later. Watch, I'll just do it in the future. I might stitch it, but the guy was talking about, here's an aesthetic that you might be interested in called Utopian Scholastic aesthetic. And he goes into it, and I was
Book fair?
Kinda. Wow. You're hitting the right thing here. So, very interesting topic. But before we get into that, I kind of want to get into graphic design a little bit because you won't know what I'm talking about if you're not really aware of what graphic design is.
Let's do it.
What is graphic design? Graphic design is a creative process that involves combining visual and textual elements to convey a message or an idea. It is a form of visual communication that utilizes various tools, techniques, and technologies to create design that can be used in print, digital media, advertising, branding, and more. Graphic designers use typography, images, colors, shapes, and layout techniques to produce designs that are visually appealing, functional, and effective in communicating specific messages or concepts. They work with a wide range of media, including digital platforms, print materials like posters, brochures, packaging, logos, websites, and even multimedia presentations.
So all the things.
Yes. It encompasses everything. And I also know this because I have my bachelor's in graphic design as well.
I mean, you know.
So we did have to learn all that fun jazz. But until the late 20th century, graphic design as a discipline had been a handcrafted process. Layouts were drawn by hand. Typography was ordered by typesetters or typesetting. There were type proofs and plate making. The game changer, though, was when we were able to have software that would help us with graphic design making. Exactly. So Mac Print was a program for Apple's Macintosh in the early 1980s, and this allowed everyday folks to have access to, like, design tools. And also, I want to say for the record, it would help, like, future us, like the kids, when we were kids, to become graphic designers, and also, most importantly, meme makers. Memes. We love the memes. No,
man.
Microsoft MS Paint.
It was this in Minesweeper. Yeah, like that was life.
It sure was. It sure was. Good old 90s. So yes, Microsoft, a few years later, about like 1985, I think, released MS Paint. And so, you know, but the cool thing, though, is the evolution of graphic design, because before that, you know, everything was done by hand.
So complicated and convoluted process. I can't even trying to tweak one little thing.
Yep.
Nope.
Exactly. So that's really cool for us to develop a software. Like, the future is happening. The future is happening. So all of this technology was new at the time, and there was an aesthetic that helped shape our beliefs, and that the future was wondrous, futuristic, awe-inspiring, surreal. Enter Utopian Scholastic aesthetic.
Oh, we're here.
We're here. You're here. Cool. So the term Utopian Scholastic was actually derived from a Facebook group called Utopian Scholastic Design from a pre-9/11 world. And that was created by Suze Holt. I think I'm saying that right. And I joined the Facebook group to do real research.
Yeah.
So here's a snapshot, and now we can
feeling all the feels. First of all, DK books. I am a fiction girl.
Okay.
But I feel like DK knows how to lay it out there, and you can get the facts and get my nonfiction in there without feeling like completely overwhelmed.
Okay. I just keep thinking of Donkey Kong. When you say DK, I'm like, DK. Donkey Kong. All right.
I think of DK like, do you remember like those zoo books?
Yeah, okay.
Those were DK, or where you learned the things.
Yes. Okay. And that's pretty much what this aesthetic is. It was very much like educational, all that 95 Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Encarta.
And you can find this stuff, you know, on the computer. I wouldn't say online because we didn't have it
online yet.
Yes, on the computer. But this was also stuff.
CD-ROM.
Yes, you would also see this like going to school. So a lot of the books that we had, like history books and math and stuff, would have this aesthetic on it. So this aesthetic had a stock photography collage kind of vibe, and one of the reasons that we were able to have like this kind of look was because we were now being able to have stock photography collections. We were able to just have
Access to things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And because of this graphic editing software, we could take images essentially and kind of drag and drop them in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And this allowed for the viewer to quickly comprehend the concepts of what we were looking at.
Yeah.
So let's get into Mist. Do you guys remember Mist?
Yes, I
I sure do remember
I
Mist.
spent so many hours on Mist at Uncle Larry's computer. Oh my gosh.
Uncle Larry's computer.
He had like this really like cool antique roll top desk.
Oh.
And then open it up and there's the computer that can run Mist. And I would watch him play it and I'd be like, can I try? And it was like one of my first forays into gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I feel like it was for a lot of people.
Yeah. It was so interesting and so mysterious and puzzly and exciting and all the things.
And that's very much the Utopian Scholastic design. Even it says the Cyrillic adventure that will become your world.
And it did. It totally did.
And these types of images there was a feeling that was being invoked with this aesthetic.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at a few more images that are...
You know what? It totally reminds me, just because I haven't seen that cover in so long. I remember scouring the early ages of the internet to find cool desktop backgrounds. And I definitely had one that was like a vague castle-y thing going on, maybe floating in space, purplies, pinks, and teals, and just, awesome. So I know exactly what we're talking about now.
Yeah, and it's really fun aesthetic because it's like surrealistic and it's very like otherworldly in a way and optimistic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really did. I think when you were talking about the future is bright, I was thinking back to what we've discussed before in like the retro version of the future. But now putting it in this context, it is very futuristic. Little did we know at the time where we'd be now.
And we will get into that. So let's take a look at some images. Just a classic Utopian Scholastic, educational, Britannica, the CD's floaty.
Shapes, it's fine.
Yeah, we got shapes, we got
a mouse,
a pencil, a globe.
Some typography. Yeah, I'm into it.
We could so it seems like there's a lot of hodgepodge going on.
It's a virtual collage.
Yes.
Oh, it's Dolly.
Yes, I remember seeing this at Best Buy. I don't remember.
Best Buy. Yeah, Best Buy.
But there was so many educational games, and I feel like before the internet, because this was before the internet, you just had CDs.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to look at how much content we have like that's based on entertainment now. But back then, it was all education. It was all that Encyclopedia and Britannica.
Well, that's how people sold it.
Yeah,
like why would you put forth that expense if there wasn't some value? And at that point, education was still very highly valued. Everybody needed to go to college. Everybody needed to do all the things and learn the stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like with computers, it's easy to put the knowledge in there because the computers can calculate things. So I remember me and my brother playing this like game to where you can change the orbit of the moon, and we always had it crash to Earth. I feel like it's easy like for a computer to just be like, okay, and then just do it.
Yeah, the physics.
Yeah.
Like the catapult games or any of those kind of things. Yeah, absolutely.
So I like this image because there's obviously a lot going on.
Vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe. We're in some magical other higher plane because there's giants down there. We also have people turning the wheel, but we also have like cars and animals and the world turning and cogs turning, and there's a Ferris wheel. It's so fun and
make the world go around.
Yeah, whales there and everything. Mind Explorer.
Oh my gosh.
And eyeliner.
Oh, no. Oh, Encarta, you helped with so many reports.
Same.
So this was cutting edge. Before, you had to go to a library, and if your school library was not well equipped, you would have to go to the public library and go reference things in the encyclopedias. Now, if you were like hoity-toity, you could maybe order your own set of encyclopedias from a salesperson. Now, normally door-to-door-ish type thing,
Yeah.
or infomercial. And you could look up your information that way. But then when Encarta came,
That's a game changer.
it had a search bar. No more flipping through pages. I mean, you still had to read the stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a couple little breakout videos and things or maps. So, I loved playing with the maps. All the gosh,
That is
we're old.
internet. So a lot of people ask, like, so before Google, where did you guys go? Encyclopedia. And so, okay, so I thought, because I grew up poor, and we had an encyclopedia. We had the A through Z, and we had multiple different ones. So I just assumed that everybody had encyclopedia in their
I
home.
wonder how out of date it was. It was probably like an old encyclopedia. Although a lot of information just doesn't change, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was
good
one of the
enough
pitches.
information.
Get the latest edition.
Yes. Oh, no. Yeah, it was. Yeah, very. Ooh. So, yeah, this is just the aesthetic.
It's the screensaver with the fish. The fish tank screensaver.
Yeah.
We are tripping so hard on our nostalgia right now. Like we are face on the floor. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Here at this.
Oh, very.
Oh my gosh.
And look at this. It's like noon. You can. It's like a computer that you can hold in your palm. Like what kind of sorcery is it? There's a city. And there's always clouds. There's always clouds. They're always in and clouds.
It's like the symbolism to the great beyond. The we're going upwards. You know.
Yes.
Just.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Who knew? I mean, we take it for granted.
You really do.
We take it, these things, looking back, we see what impact it had and how it was a sign of the times. And boy, little did we know how much things were going to change. MS Paint walked so Photoshop could run. Just think of where we are now and the things that are background noise and we're constantly surrounded with. We don't even think twice about. Maybe there'll be another Toya and Megan talking about it in 20 years. Who knows?
I sure hope so. Our clones.
Oh, the next gen.
Because at the time, all this programming was new. It was giving the end of history, like end of human chapter.
An era.
End of an era, kind of embracing the new possibilities of technology. And we were optimistic about the future. Yeah. What better way to convey this than to use surrealism? We are now tapping into our consciousness as a collective. It's as if humanity took its first breath again. And that's kind of how I feel about the Utopian Scholastic.
Yeah, it really ushers in a completely different age. And you think about the classic art ages, the Renaissance, the New Renaissance, you know, everything, the drastic changes. This takes the cake. This puts everything from a physical context into a little computing box.
Yeah.
And you can manipulate things in such a different way. You can house tons of information. It's easily accessible. There's now a community, shared space, shared resources that you never had before.
Yeah, it's definitely, I just feel like it's a huge human connecting. Our minds have shifted, like we've mentally, subconscious, somehow all shifted. And the old is what we've been doing before is now in the past, and we have no idea what's going to happen, but we're optimistic about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a chance the robots take over.
So there's that.
We can only hope for the best.
Yes. So we went through the Utopian Scholastic design, but I do want to talk about Kari. Now, Kari is the consumer aesthetic Research Institute, which is like a collective association of designers and researchers who categorize consumer aesthetics from the late mid-century. So they're saying that the Utopian Scholastic came from Fraser Bain. And you might be wondering, what is Fraser Bain?
Please explain.
1993. Frasier comes out. Remember Frasier?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're reviving it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My sister and my mom loved Frasier, but Corey has said that this style describes this. Basically in the late 1980s, as baby boomers were hitting their peak yuppie years, settling down and looking to adopt a more sophisticated aesthetic lifestyle. Okay. So with Fraser Bain, you get your tans, your tan core, your sophistication, your sans serifs, your Ginny Key albums.
We have more money now. We're, more presentable. We want nice things.
Yes. So we have an adult version of what was going on and a kid version, and they're very much similar in a way.
Yeah.
So Fraser Bain, Utopian.
You gotta stop with the nostalgia here. This is killing me. But yeah, it totally. Why does everything get recycled? Everything was so beige, and now we're like millennial gray.
Right, that's the beige.
Yes. No, I'm done with the beige.
This before. So I asked ChatGPT what its thoughts were on Utopian Scholastic aesthetic, and I asked for a very specific reason, and I'll share that in just a moment. But this is what ChatGPT had to say about it. Utopian Scholastic aesthetic is an intriguing concept that combines various elements. It intertwines the notion of a utopia, an idealized perfect society, with the scholasticism, emphasis, rigorous academic pursuits, and intellectualism and aesthetics relating to beauty and art principles. Now, the reason why I asked ChatGPT this is because I felt I had come full circle of my thoughts of technology, art, and the next generation to come and the future of aesthetics created by humans and technology together. So I was like, what better way to wrap this up than to ask a robot? We're going to be covering Stuart Lippincott, and did I say his last name right?
I think so.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
And his Instagram handle is Stuz, or such as STUZ and an O and then an R.
But the O is a 0.
Yes. So one thing I really like about, if you go to his Instagram, he says, I can't draw. That's all he put for the top part is I can't draw. And so he uses Unreal Engine, which is a 3D creation tool, to use all of his images and, or to create all of his images and reels and movie clips.
Cool.
And I think they're the coolest thing ever because they give you it's kind of like Utopian Scholastic gone dark. It's like the complete opposite.
We're going to the dark side.
Yeah, we're going to the dark side. It is like the future is no longer happy, but this is good. I like that.
Apocalypse.
It's like apocalyptic, but there's something very spiritual about it. There's something otherworldly about it. And there's these really tall figures. And I like to see the scale. I really like the scale of his artwork. And I really love the composition that he has in a lot of his images. And I just want to say for the record, okay, so there will be people who will comment to him and be like, oh, I saw this in an acid trip, but acid, and then I saw this in he doesn't really have much to say, but the craziest thing is, I remember with Michael Devine, I was talking about the dreams I had.
Yes.
I've had a very specific dream that's dear to me, and it's very specific to one of his, the movie clips. But just look at it. Dreams. I know, right? I know. I feel like there's a connection sometimes with me and people because I'll have dreams of their stuff or the artwork that they've created. And I'm like, oh, I've dreamt about this.
That's crazy. It blows my mind.
But the reason why I also picked him was because we've been talking about all this computer work and he's using the software and the Unreal Engine to create. And he says, I can't draw. But that doesn't mean that you can't create things.
Absolutely.
So he's taking things from his mind, what I assume, and creating them on the
image thing.
Yeah.
Hey, give me some help here. It's a lot of people who paint can't draw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Paint is a little bit more free. And you don't need to focus on a likeness, especially depending on what style. If you're going cubist, if you're going impressionist, you know, there's abstract, all kinds of things that you can do that don't subscribe to the rigidity that some of drawing kind of requires.
Yeah. Which I always thought was strange, but once you break it down like that, that's so very true.
Oh, there you go.
So, Megan, I have a question for you.
Don't you always?
Yes. So the Utopian Scholastic design was 20 years ago. What do you think the design will be now, 20 years in the future? Like, what is people 20 years from now going to be saying about now?
That's tough. So 2 things kind of come to mind. I don't know if they're trends, if this will be the thing that sticks and defines this time frame, but maximalism, like the grandma core, cottage core, like people are kind of going back to collecting trinkets and things and surrounding themselves with things that bring them joy. But at the same time, you've got the Marie Kondo, like minimalize, tiny homes, get rid of all the stuff, focus on experiences. And those are kind of happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't know ultimately what one is going to kind of win out in an art sense. I think it's kind of like the housing bubble burst, right? We are now in the NFT burst.
Yes.
So we've had all this AI-driven art stuff, which is a great tool. And now I think it's kind of taken over to the point where people are like, I kind of miss the old stuff. And a really perfect period to encapsulate this is I just went to Wish. We saw Wish over the weekend. And it's the Disney 100. So it has a lot of classic throwback stuff. And yes, it's 3D animated. And like everything is 3D animated now. There's very, very little 2D animation unless it's like shows, but not feature-length stuff. But it has that old school vibe with the background, like straight out of Sleeping Beauty. All I could think of was Ivan Earl, the whole opening bit, and I'm like, and it has a really good marriage of kind of the 2 styles. And I think that's probably where we're going to end up. But yeah, I think there's kind of this reverb, or the pendulum is swinging back, where people are really appreciating like the hand touches, in the artistry that goes in a more classic sense.
Okay. Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
What about you?
So you know about like Photoshop and how sometimes it looks a little weird commercially, like there's a model and her legs like way too long or whatever the case. Yeah. And you could just catch it. Sometimes AI does bad Photoshopping, or sometimes AI does things that it just looks Photoshop, or, I'm sorry, it looks AI. Yeah. So you could easily right now tell that AI looks AI. I feel like AI could get to a point to where you can't, you know,
it learns so much that you can't differentiate any longer.
Yeah. Which it is in certain instances, but certain things. I remember Disney came out with this picture recently with Norman Rockwell, kind of, I don't know if you saw that thing with Mickey, and it's like a Norman Rockwell Thanksgiving dinner situation. Okay. But everybody had beef with it because it looked so creepy, and people were like zooming in, and there was AI discrepancies because they used AI.
Oh, interesting.
Because people are like, okay, so what's his face? His son looks super cracked out. I guess if you zoomed into some of the utensils, there's random stuff. Oh, like, okay, I guess people were talking about the size of the glasses, which didn't give perspective, because that size and that size and that size.
All exact same.
Yeah, they're the same.
Copy pasted.
Yes, copy pasted. And then the reflection off of, like, that knife right there, is it a scissors? What the hell? Right. So people are like, bro.
Leave this to the professional.
Yes. So with that being said, we're at this weird cusp right now.
Yeah, either way.
And it could really go either way. It's going to get, like, AI will get better.
Yeah.
But I feel like this would be a laughable time. I don't know. You'd be like, oh, look at people, they thought they knew this, and it was so cringe. It's so cringe. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
The Earth used to be the center of the universe, so who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows? I mean, everything could be rewritten to such an extreme we can't even fathom.
Mm-hmm.
So only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're optimistic for the future, we would love to hear about your thoughts. You can always comment. We want to hear all the things.
We sure do. From all of us here at Purple Easel, thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to check out Utopian, Scholastic, and the work of Stuart Lippincott in the links below.
Mm-hmm. Join us at purpleeaselplus.com to paint with the world's largest paint tip studio online.
And if you're in Southern California, make sure to swing by the studio. In the meantime, create more and create often.
Bye. Here, here. Welcome to Purple Easel Flatlight.
They're there.